Never been missed.
Thank you. I don't know why I should sit down. I'm just going to have to get up.
I'm going to keep mine pushed back a little.
I got 5 minutes before council meeting starts. Hi, Raymond. Jim, would you like to stand up and say grace?
If you like me to.
I would. If anyone objects, they can leave the room. I haven't called the meeting to order yet. So if you'd like to stand up and say a prayer.
Do we have to stand up?
Gracious God in heaven, we thank you, Lord, for another day of life. Father, we're reminded so often how fragile life is, how quickly it can change, and how quickly it can pass. And I pray tonight, Father, for these leaders of our town, that you would give them knowledge. And Father, give them wisdom on how to use that knowledge as well. Bless the citizens of our town. Help us to all understand with patience that we're not in this mess and it took a while to get here and it's going to take a while to get out. So help us to understand and support one another. And Lord, we'll always pray. We'll always praise you. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Well, we got 2 or 3 minutes. Wow, you showed up.
Be a clerk. You know, her name is.
2 minutes.
Oh,
We got 2 minutes.
I haven't heard.
2
2 minutes.
Praying before the meeting.
Here or somewhere
I
else?
don't know. I want to talk to Jim about that.
I see we have people in the audience. I need to remind you, anyone that wants to ask a question, village resident that wants to ask a question, do we have a book? We had a book. We got a book? Please sign your name and your address and reference to what question you want to ask. Where's the book at?
It's right outside here.
Oh, okay. Outside the door?
We want it before the movie, before it starts.
Yeah. Yeah. We want the book filled out before we start. We'll wait on you.
Got another minute and a half. Do we have an extra?
Do what?
We don't have an extra agenda.
You got an extra agenda?
Yeah.
Yes. We do.
Want to copy it? Somebody else might want. Yeah.
It's all right. Snow helped to do that.
She wants 3 copies.
Oh, okay. We got 2 minutes.
You know what can shut the world down without the sun, don't you? Snow.
Snow? Very quietly does it.
How's everybody doing today? Are you feeling better?
Good.
You sick?
Good, Jack.
I've been sick. Family been sick.
Good.
How you feeling, Rebecca? Doing
Pretty good.
Good.
Change doctors.
Over the
No,
sickness?
same
he
ones. Yeah, this is
I guess.
chronic. I mean, it's just going to take a while. In the
There's
cold weather,
Raymond sitting
aggravates
back there. I haven't seen
everything.
Raymond forever.
So my balance.
Oh,
I'm
Raymond,
having a
tell me
problem with
about the
vertigo.
balance. It does.
The regular congregation.
That's
isn't it?
They've been
Yeah.
concerned about that because of the lesion I have.
Never want to hear
That
about
they
it.
wanted to make sure. Oh yeah, that's from
Okay.
2 or 3 years ago.
Oh,
That's on second reading tonight.
what about their bones and what was there with walking?
Well, that's 2 things. Well, this is connected to the neck, but then the severe degenerative stuff is in my lumbar, the very base of my spinal cord.
Fish.
And so it's kind of a combination of all 3. But I have a Thursday doctor's appointment every Thursday,
Thank you, ma'am.
and that is what
Can I have
seems
mine
to
back?
help the most.
You can keep one.
Because if I go like even 2 or 3 weeks without it, weird thing, my pelvis tilts. There's weird things that happen.
Okay.
It
But
reverts
it's-
back to the same thing, huh?
But it's then. See, I joined the Y
Okay.
At
We'll
7:02.
to build core
we'll
strength.
call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Roll
I
call.
know. Roll calls first.
Roll calls first, according to your agenda.
I start following you people. Roll call first.
Yes. Tom?
Here.
Tammy?
Here.
David?
Here.
Becky? Here. Lowell?
Yes.
And Rebecca?
Here.
All are present.
Very good. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Be seated. You all have before you the minutes of the January 14th meeting and the special meeting on January 17th and the finance work session on January 23rd. Do I
And a special.
can make a motion for all three of them at once? Oh, I have to do them? I thought I did. I have one motion here, is why I asked that question. So, I need a motion to accept the minutes from the January 14th
You have that motion?
council. Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote?
Tom?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Becky? Yes. Lowell?
Yes.
And Rebecca?
Yes.
Thank you. I need a motion to accept the special meeting minutes from January 17th.
I'll give you that motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
We
Vote?
have discussion before we vote.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
I have an issue just with these minutes, only for the fact, this might be a question for you. There was no quorum at this meeting, so should there have been motions and it brought to order?
Well, the thing about and I haven't looked at it, so I don't know what it is you're talking about. But
I mean, the meeting in general, there was not a quorum.
Okay.
But they did
They-
come to order. They made motions and excused Rebecca and I. No motion was made for Tom to be excused. Now, if there wasn't a quorum, there should not have been a
There was no
meeting.
quorum.
So there shouldn't have been a meeting at all.
There wouldn't have been a meeting.
So these minutes shouldn't be approved.
Well, I haven't looked at them. This is the first I've seen them.
I don't see them. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I don't.
But it
I
was a
don't-
scheduled meeting. It was a
Scheduled
it was a
meeting.
scheduled meeting. It was a
Should've been
special meeting.
Roll call should have been done.
Correct. And it was.
And who was here, who was excused, don't know.
I mean, not having a quorum, should there have been motions even made?
They should not have been made. There should have been roll call.
No, you had David, Becky, and Lowell was here.
Right.
The roll call was taken,
Okay.
and there was not a quorum. It was excused by Tammy and Rebecca Burns due to medical reasons, and council at that time did not excuse Tom Ward.
Okay. So there was no meeting.
There was no meeting, but it was a scheduled meeting to have on file.
And it says
Because was publicly-
motion to excuse Tammy and Rebecca Burns from meeting, which when I watched, there was a motion.
Right.
I didn't know. I myself don't feel that these minutes should be approved because it was not a legal meeting, because there wasn't a quorum.
Then you have the
Yeah,
right to vote.
well, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I agree that if there wasn't
I
a
saw
quorum, if there
my
wasn't a quorum,
Right,
there shouldn't have been a meeting.
right.
Right.
What should have happened is there should have been, and it should have been a roll call.
Right.
And at that point in time, when everybody wasn't there or wasn't a quorum, then the matter would have been closed.
Okay, well, that's just what I wanted to ask.
What was the reason why I wasn't excused, if I may ask?
Oh, it shows right here. Motion was not casted to excuse Tom Ward per council as reasons given by Tom via voicemail that due to the events that took place during January 14th council meeting, he would be absent.
I thought that was a very good excuse because I made it plain that I was in
I
fear for my
apologize,
health and
Tom. I'm
well-being.
not the one that determines that.
I understand that, but I'm just going on record as to why I was not here. I made it plain that I was in fear for my health and well-being because of continued anger issues, amongst other things, okay? And then the very next day that happened, Tuesday, he shows up to my house, which I consider harassment, plain and simple. He didn't come to me to apologize, to discuss something, but to talk about that complaint,
I don't know.
okay?
I mean, you could probably address.
I have two witnesses, so I was not by myself, okay? But somebody's got to be the bigger person. I could have called the law. I could have made a police report. I did not, but I did contact the prosecutor, okay? This has got to end. This aggravation And I mean, literally, it's interfering with the normal running of the council. We cannot do our job because of all the anger, the finger pointing, the yelling. Okay?
Are you referring to me when I come to your house, Tom?
Yes, sir.
Tom, I came to your house to mend any ill feelings you had. I
have no ill feelings. I have no ill feelings, sir.
Upset or mad at you, and I explained that to you.
I have no ill feelings. You come down there to talk about that report. I told you, it was a report.
I tried to explain to you. That's all I did was try to explain it to you, the way I looked at it. And I wasn't upset when I talked to you. I thought the meeting went very well.
I'm very upset. We have fought this all year. All year. It's been 13 months.
I haven't.
We have.
I forgot about it.
We have.
I forgot about it.
And therefore, I thought, it's best for me not to put myself in a position where this is going to happen again, and that's the reason why I stayed away from that meeting. Okay?
I just came down to tell you that there was no hard feelings on my part, that I tried to explain the way that I saw it, and I understood the way you felt, and I thought we got along and parted in a friendly manner.
I kept my...
I don't understand how you could possibly feel threatened when I come to you and talk to you about it.
As far as I thought it was a harassment. I'll tell you right up front. Okay, I sit here, and after and this is not the issue is this has been an ongoing issue with the anger issues, and constantly standing up there. It's not our job to do this. It's not our job to do this. You sit at the head of the seat and pointing fingers at individuals, etc., etc.
I did say that.
Okay.
I did.
And for a year that we have been beating our heads against a brick wall, trying to address these major issues that we are facing. And in addition to trying to deal with this, we've got to also try to deal with the anger issue and stuff.
No, what major issues are we disagreeing on? Because the only thing that I explained to council is what your responsibilities are.
You know what our responsibilities are.
Okay, that's good. Then I don't need to explain
our
anymore.
Due diligence. And
That's
taking
good.
reports is part of our due diligence when a
That's
resident.
good. But what are the
contacts
major?
us, it could be streets, water, or anything.
What are the major issues that we're disagreeing on?
Folks,
What?
anybody else want to kick in on this?
There has been a lot of disagreements.
About what?
Just
Major
people losing
issues.
tempers and things like that.
What temper keeps? What? We're in here every day, 8 hours, 10. No, we're not here 8 hours a day. We're 10, 12 hours a day. I'm sure that these girls get upset, like I do sometimes, but it's, as soon as what was said is said, it's forgotten about with me.
I just have a question. Rules of council, if I may, can I have a copy? I guess what I have a question on is that when packets are submitted out, and I guess this would be a question for whomever would like to answer, let me just read them verbatimly here.
I'll tell you what it says. It says you get a packet on Friday. And I can explain to the audience what an agenda is. This agenda is for the public. This agenda that she makes up is for the knowledge of the public. The public knows everything that we're going to talk about tonight. That's why that agenda is made up. Now, what that rules of council says is that you get your packet on Friday.
Well, let me go ahead and read it by word.
Okay.
If the council person has a question, he or she shall call either the mayor or village administrator for a full explanation prior to the scheduled meeting. So can somebody help me understand how that's construed?
I have no issues with the.
No, I just have a question. I mean, it's
I
been-
understand that, okay, and it also states in there that they are to be delivered by 12 noon on Friday. It didn't say maybe, it didn't say the rules of council are a luxury, as we were told, everybody was told. Okay, it says it will be delivered on Friday. That
it's
gives
on
us.
Friday, it doesn't say noon. It says a member of the general public desiring to be heard by the village council must notify the clerk of council in writing no later than 12 o'clock.
No, I'm talking about the delivering of the packets.
That's what it says. There's no delivery of the packet. It says
That
on
doesn't say
Friday.
the same one that mine says.
Okay, because this has the resolution attached to it.
So we've relaxed that requirement. You don't have to come in on Friday and sign up. You come in on Monday, sign a
I'm
book.
not talking about signing up, I'm talking about just getting our council
The
packets.
packets will be
She's
hand
brought that.
delivered on Friday prior to the scheduled meeting. I'm sorry to say, Tom, there's no time listed on there.
Oh, okay, Friday.
Okay.
So-
They're delivered on Fridays. There was a motion during a work session, am I correct? There was a motion that to save money, that we would go ahead and have those sent electronically.
Yes.
Please tell me that.
That's
That
correct.
happened.
Okay, so that motion was carried out. I take the request, because that's the rules of council, okay? I take the request from Mr. David Timmons and Mr. Tom Ward to have those hand delivered.
Yes, you
And are
did.
those
Thank
hand
you.
delivered on Friday?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
So what my question is that, prior to the scheduled meeting, if, for a full explanation prior to that, I guess is where I'm confused.
You're confusing me a little bit now as far as.
Well,
Yeah,
if there's a
that's-
question, if a council person has a question, he or she shall call either the mayor or the village administrator, which we don't have, for a full explanation prior to the scheduled meeting.
You're talking about this little item right here, okay?
That's what I'm saying. So like, if that was incorrect, can we reach out to the attorney and get a full
Well,
explanation for that?
The pro temp should have known. We can't have a meeting. We do not have a quorum. We do not have a quorum. There can be no meeting. There can be no vote. We go in, we come in here, like the mayor, we'll go by what the mayor said. You come in here, you say, okay, who's here, who's not here? We don't have a quorum. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah, so then at that point, is it the pro temp or the mayor or the person that called the meeting would then speak to the attorney and say, is that a valid, do you write minutes for the scheduled meeting? Even though there was no legislation process, that would be my question to you, Mr. Pitstick, is if that is, because it was an open meeting, if anybody were to audit me and ask me, hey,
You have to have it, you have to have some record
yes,
of the fact that you chose to have a meeting.
correct.
You would just simply put in there that you didn't have a quorum.
Yeah, so it says right here, no executive session was held due to not having a quorum within council members. Some members asked if discussions could happen. Courtney voiced no, per village solicitor. The calling of the meeting was held for only the subject matter, not the discussion of other matters. So it clearly states that on here. There was no legislation that was motioned. There was nothing else that was discussed. It actually had the proceedings of the meeting.
Okay, well, see, what I'm going through is right here. It's the sunshine laws. It's page 93 of the sunshine laws, and it plainly states, for there to be a meeting as defined under the Open Meeting Act, a majority of the public body members must come together. There was no majority.
But what you're saying, and again, this is a legal question for you.
All that the minutes should express is that there was a meeting to take place, that the meeting was held, called, and had no quorum.
Correct.
You have to have something there
For audit.
for audit purposes.
What I recommend, let's say we didn't have a quorum, and we'll take a vote on that, and if that satisfies everybody, and
However
at
you
that
guys want
point,
to.
what do you think?
There was no legislation. There was a public
Okay,
meeting that was
okay.
held, and it needs to be documented.
What about this piece of paper right here? What about what's written on this piece of paper right here? We're going to excuse two, not the third. Does this get null and void now, or what happens with this? Or is
That
it
would be
a
a
public
legal question
document?
for
This
him.
is now a public document because it's included in the packet. You surely can't exclude it.
All I'm going to say at this point in time is eliminate the who was excused and who wasn't excused, and just basically say the meeting was held, roll call was held, and no quorum.
Okay.
Period.
Yeah, I agree with Mark, let's go
And
with that.
that will take care of the situation you have.
Meeting was not held.
Meeting was not held.
Exactly.
The purpose of the meeting But no quorum? Does that satisfy everyone?
How's that gonna reflect on the video?
That
You
I
just
don't
made
know.
it, you amended it. Well, that's what I'm saying, and like,
I can't-
that's
I
the
can't do anything
question
about
that I have.
You can't do anything about the video.
Yeah,
The video is the video.
so that's why the minutes were recorded, because it was a public meeting, so I guess that would be a good question.
I can't do anything about the
Yeah.
video.
So do we have to have a motion to have this set aside, corrected, and brought back at the
You would
next
just need
council
to
meeting?
amend the January 17th special council meeting to just include that meeting was not held, roll call was taken, and no quorum. And I can revise that for you guys.
Based upon the revision, do we have a motion? We have a motion on the floor. Can we go forward with that?
What, to
We
accept
had
or
one,
not
David.
accept?
We had a motion and a second.
Okay.
Now,
So,
what's this for now?
so I'm,
Yeah,
We're just accepting the fact that there was a meeting called and no quorum. That's what the minutes are going to reflect.
Do we have to wait till those are amended and vote those
You
that
don't
way?
have to wait till they're amended, but that's up to you. I'm just saying, you don't have
No,
to.
I didn't.
But that's up to you. She says she's going to do it. She's the clerk of council. I'm assuming that she'll do exactly what you ask her to do.
I'd feel better, personally, it's just me speaking, I'd feel better till we got the new one before we approved it.
That's
And
up
just
to
carry
you.
that over to the next
That's
council
up to
meeting.
everybody to decide. That's fine with me, but it's up to everybody. That's not something illegal. That's legal in nature. That's something that council needs to decide.
I'd like to make, I don't know if this is proper or not. If I'm not, please tell me. Okay, I would like to make a motion that this be set aside until a new one is drawn up and introduced at the next council meeting for approval. Would that be possible? Would that be,
You can table.
Is that
you
proper?
can table this until the next meeting if you so choose.
But you'll have to make a motion.
I make that motion that this be tabled until a new one is drawn up.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
minutes from the finance work session on January 23rd.
got that motion.
Thank you. A second.
Second.
Thank you. Vote.
Tom?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Lowell?
Yes.
And Rebecca?
Yes.
And I need a motion to accept the minutes from the special meeting held on January 23rd of this year.
Yes.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Vote.
Tom?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
And Lowell?
Yes.
And Rebecca?
Yes.
Thank you. Minutes all approved. Mayor's comments. I would like to comment. I think in reference to what the clerk is talking about, we had a meeting and I was asked by a minister if he could say a prayer before the meeting started. I asked, not doing that before, I asked all of you if it was okay with all of you. And everyone agreed that it was okay to have a prayer before the council meeting. So I assumed, since we had one prayer, that we would have a prayer every meeting this year, since no one objected. That's why I added it into the agenda. And when I added it into the agenda, then the rules of council became in effect. You got your agenda on Friday. You should have read that we're having a prayer. And you should have called me Friday and not wait until Monday's meeting and bring it up before the public. If someone had called me and said, I noticed you added a prayer to the agenda, I would have said, yes, I did. But if you're offended by it, I'll take it off. And we'll have a prayer before the meeting starts. We're going to have a prayer. Now, where we have it at, that's for all of you to decide. So that's what she was referring to. No one got a hold of me Friday and said, I see you got prayer on there, and I don't like that. So somebody's not following the rules of council.
Next thing. Nowhere in the rules of council does it say that you can or you cannot refuse to be on a committee. It says the president pro tem, like you did last year, will select the committees, and that's the way they'll be in effect for the entire year. I can't find where it says that I need to be excused because of some reason. So, because I did have 2 people to excuse themselves from the nuisance and abatement, there would not be a nuisance and abatement committee. What I will more than likely do when spring comes and grass needs mowed, the remaining person that stayed on there will hire somebody on the outside to come in and start mowing lawns. We will not have a nuisance and abatement because 2 council members refused to serve on it. And then someone told me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, did you not want to be on the block watch?
Yes, correct.
You do not want to be?
No, I do not.
Mayor,
Okay.
I got an idea for the block watch.
Okay,
And Tom
so
brought this up. I want the citizens, and Tom brought this up, and I like that idea, have the citizens, and as pro temp, I would be in charge of it, and I'll have the citizens come in when we need a block watch meeting.
Okay, that'll be fine.
And
We'll talk about that later, but as of tonight, with his refusal to be on block watch, there will not be a block watch until we have a meeting and develop a procedure or a way of doing it. So those 2 things I wanted to take care of tonight. Next thing is the agenda. I've told the public that the agenda is for their purpose. It's for your purpose to do the agenda. And I make it up. Now, if anybody doesn't agree with the way it's made up, you contact me before this meeting starts on 7 o'clock Monday and tell me. And we'll talk about changing it. And that's the way it'll be from now on, the rest of this year. The rest of my comments. Should I do taller now?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're all aware, but right here I have a letter of resignation from Tyler Curtis. He was our water license 1 worker. Effective today, by the way. I haven't signed it because I want council to make a motion to accept Tyler Curtis's resignation. He went to work at London, if you haven't heard. They offered him more money and he took it. So first off, I need a motion from council to accept Tyler Curtis's resignation effective today, January 28th.
You got that motion. but
Okay, a
it's-
second.
Second.
Mayor, you got that motion, but it's with regret. He was a great worker.
Okay. Now, all I need is I don't need to take a roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
I do?
Yes, you do.
Take a roll call. Absolutely.
You want a roll call on it? All right, no problem. Let's do a roll call.
Tom,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Lowell,
Yes.
and Rebecca.
Yes.
Okay, so I am signing his resignation right now. Now, with that, Tyler has accumulated 27.18 hours. I need a motion to pay him his vacation pay,
I'll make it.
which he has coming.
I'll second it.
Vote.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Would London allow him to transfer any of his vacation time?
No.
Only sick.
Sick times
Only
Oh,
only.
sick time.
Yep.
We have to pay him his vacation.
I know we
Give me
do,
a
but I just was wondering about that.
Did we get a vote?
We'll roll call now.
Vacation pay.
Tom,
Yes.
Tammy,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Lowell,
Yes?
and Rebecca.
Yes.
Now, with that said, council gave us permission to post a job opening for water treatment 1.
Yes.
So that will be on the web page. That will be, I'm not sure, I don't know.
There's a website that.
We don't do it in the paper though, do we?
No.
No.
To save cost, I have found a website that the operators post and actually can see what job postings are out there and submit their resume free of charge. So that would be a website. Also, the village website would have it posted there, and as well as in front of town hall here. That the mayor would create a job responsibility or a job posting, and that's how it would be posted.
Everybody good with that? Now, with that said, Tyler's left.
Okay, could I please have a motion on that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion on what? Oh,
To
post that?
Yes.
Yes, that's forgot. Motion to post a job for Water 1.
Got that motion.
Second.
I'll second.
All right, vote.
Tom?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Lowell?
Yes.
And Rebecca?
Yes.
Thank you very much. With that said, Tyler's gone. We need a licensed operator at our water plant. Tyler has agreed to come back for a total of 10 hours a week as a 1099 employee at $23 an hour. We do something similar. Of course, you know, all realize Brian is on the 1099 payroll. This will be the same thing, only on water. Water license 1, which we have to have. So, do you want to ask? Feel free to ask questions.
That's
because
until a new employee's hired.
until yes, yeah, it'll be for no longer than we have to have him.
Right.
Trust me, at $23 an hour.
Until the position is filled.
Yes, until we get another person on, I should say. So he's agreed to stay 1 month, or maybe, you know, if we have to bring somebody in with a reverse osmosis water plant that we have, and you know, if they're not familiar with it, he agreed to stay on for a couple months and I guess teach them about it. I don't know anything about it myself, so he's agreed to do that. But I need a motion, if you all agree, I need a motion to hire Tyler Curtis back as a 1099, you know what that is, at the rate of $23 an hour for no more than 10 hours a week. Any questions?
I'll give you that motion.
All right. Second.
I'll second.
Vote.
Tom?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Lowell?
Yes.
And Rebecca?
Yes.
Okay, the next thing as far as water and sewage. You understand your licensed employee, Brian Arledge, works for us. He went on vacation. Well, you can't go on vacation from our water and sewer plant. So he contacted a friend that works, I believe, at Fayette County, and asked this friend to service our plant for, I believe, 2 weeks to meet our EPA requirements as far as testing water and sewage and doing the same thing Brian does. And he told the person, the guy said, "How much does it pay?" And he said, "Well, they'll pay $500, you know, and that's less than the hourly rate." So Brian paid him out of his pocket, and he came back and he wants reimbursed now for paying the gentleman while he went on, which it saved us from doing 1099 hiring and that sort of thing. It saved a lot of paperwork.
Well, if I can.
If we had it to do all over again, I don't know if we'd have done it that way, but you can talk.
Well, it didn't say paperwork because I feel like doing the right thing, doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So what I had asked him to do, Brian sent me a copy of his check that he had paid the gentleman. He also sent a copy of the EPA operator hours. I checked his ID right here, which when everybody's an operator, you have to be official with the EPA. So I checked out the number, I checked out the hours here that the EPA had it checked, and I also have a copy from the state auditors that we're allowed to do that. So I'd like to circulate this around if you all want to see it before maybe you make the motion.
Do any of you have any questions? Feel free, please. But it's something we have to have, and I don't know. I didn't know. I knew he was on vacation. I just assumed he'd let it go. I would have, but the EPA won't allow you to do that. They want it every day. They want their tests done.
You can't let facilities like that go.
No.
This is the service of the community. The community deserves to have a well taken care of plant that.
Well qualified people down there doing that
That's
test.
not in violation of the EPA.
Right.
So we don't take this lightly. We do
Right.
care.
Maybe just next time ask for it to be done in a different
Correct.
manner.
Yeah. That's, it's hard to determine when you need a backup person.
Right.
So, did I get a motion for that to?
I was circulating the documentation around for the
Okay.
I have not yet.
I'm sorry.
I've already seen it.
Here, the mayor.
Huh? What?
She can't hear you, so if you can please speak up.
You're the first person that said that.
Say it louder.
Did you pass
You're
that
the
on?
first person that told me that.
You're the first person that told him that.
Yeah, usually it's too loud. Calm down. Shut up.
Passing papers this way.
Why'd you give me, what?
Pass
It needs
those.
to be
What?
circulated,
Oh.
please. Let's pay attention.
Oh. Well, I was to her. You're damn.
I'll give you that motion to go ahead and pay him.
Thank you very much. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and if I may make I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
But this was brought to the attention of the Water and Wastewater Committee. That's what was all in your guys' minutes. So that was discussed. I mean, I just want to put that out there that the minutes were captured with that, with the agreement that I would provide information to you. Just in case you have questions on that. Are you okay hearing us now? Or hearing me? Okay.
Okay with everybody? Questions?
Thanks.
Vote?
Okay, so I have Becky first, David second.
Yep.
And roll call. Tom?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Sorry. Lowell?
Yes.
And Rebecca?
Yes.
All right. We're gonna shut up and not drag this meeting out any longer. That brings us to President Pro Temp, Mr. Timmons.
First, I want to thank Reverend Jim back there. Patrick Henry was a Baptist minister too, and he was strong-willed at the Continental Congress. But I want to thank the town workers during this snowstorm we had.
You're welcome.
And we got a mayor here. He was right there in action too. And as soon as that ice and snow, he was right at it. And like I said, I keep hoping we can get over these little obstacles and start working as a unit. I think we're getting there now. So, and we're getting there. And I got some new ideas for the block watch, which Tom recommended, which I'm going to bring up later on.
Okay.
And have a citizens committee I'm going to have.
Okay.
And maybe at the nuisance committee we'll talk on that. And like I said, I just want to also say I had 2 people looking at our monument here of the veterans, and they liked what we had, and they came from a little town in southern Ohio and looked at ours, and I said, it's always great to have a place where we can honor our vets, and that's all I have from a report today.
All righty, thank you very much. We have no scheduled visitors, but we do have public comments. Mr. Fish, Bob. Yes, sir. Your turn, Bob.
All right, thank you. Mayor and council members, I want to thank you and appreciate the opportunity to address the council. I'm here on my own accord today. I'm a citizen of Mount Sterling, and tonight I'm here because of my deep, deep disappointment with some members of the city council. To actually invite a guest to city council,
Village council,
and then to walk out on that invited guest is rude and disrespectful. Especially when that same person is responsible for doing the on-mission program and putting in hundreds and hundreds of hours collectively to help the people of the village clean up. I just think it's a shame on everybody that walked out on an invited guest. It's rude, it's disrespectful, it's in poor taste, and it makes me embarrassed about this village council, the way they conduct themselves. I want to thank you for
I don't know what, Bob, you're in referencing to. If you want to, can you
Are you talking about
elaborate?
Pastor Proudfoot?
Yes.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah.
Well, I
Okay.
agree. I agree. That
right.
was not.
It's in poor taste to invite a person and then an invited guest that is disrespected
Right. It was
after
embarrassing.
an invitation. I think it just speaks volumes for the character of this board and the council.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Bob's the only one that signed up. So that leads us into Deputy Sheriff.
My report didn't come in.
Jackie
by
Deal.
Email today.
Yeah.
So the next council meeting, you will have 2 reports.
Oh, dear.
One will be from 2018, the entire year,
Yeah.
and then the next one will be for the month of January.
Thanks, Bob.
And that's all I have.
All righty. That leads us to Law Director.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to reiterate what Mr. Fish had to say about my disappointment with council in general. Okay? I've considered a lot of you as friends, neighbors. I grew up in the community. We've gone through a very rough last 4 to 5 years. We've reached the top. It's like the little choo-choo train. I can't. Well, we were at the top.
Okay.
We were at the top. We were ready to go over the top and have Easy Street. But instead, council is split 50-50, basically, with the mayor having to break the tie. People come to me and they ask me, what's going on? Why is this happening with the small little village council? And I try to explain to them some of the difficult decisions that councils had to make and what that has cost. We talk about legalities. We talk about due diligence. We talk about rules of council. We talk about the Ohio Revised Code. We talk about this, that, and the other. But in reality, what we need to talk about is what's best for the community. What can we do to make the citizens of this community better? And I think that we've all failed. I've been accused myself of not doing my job, of not giving adequate legal advice. No one ever comes to me and asks me anything. No one does. There's been talk about Mrs. Van Sickle and Mrs. Burns going to London, talking to the county commissioners, talking to Mr. Pronay, talking to a private attorney about what we can do to overturn all these contracts in reference to the water and sewer plants. There's been talk about the same two ladies who I respect and I have great admiration for, by just sitting here, going to Columbus with Mr. Cisco, I believe, and talking to Mr. Hinkle. Whereas I believe that none of the other council members, the mayor, or anybody else was aware that these meetings were taking place.
Actually, it's on roundtable.
Let me just finish. That may or may not be the case. But let me finish my train of thought, because I want to go from there. Whether that's true or not, it's reality versus perception. Every one of these council members are equal. Everyone is equal. Everyone should know exactly what the other one is doing. And if you don't know what they're doing, you should call them on the phone. You live within a half a block of one another.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Don't you? So why aren't you talking to somebody?
Exactly.
That's not your law director's fault. That's not my fault. Right? It's your fault. I grew up in this community, as I said before, and that's one of the reasons I'm still here, to be honest, is because I like this little community. I have a lot of friends here. However, we adopted, the council of the village of Mount Sterling adopted ordinances with OWDA, asking OWDA to grant the village money to build a water plant. We signed in resolution number 2016-4 for a contract with JCAR for $6,687,000 and change. We did that. Okay? We don't need to argue about whether or not it was done. It's over with. It's done. The question remains is when this was signed, everybody knew that if you have to make a $6 million, if you have to pay off $6 million, you're going to have to raise water rates. Everybody knew that. I mean, there's no other way. If you went out and bought a new car and you didn't pay cash for it, you're going to have to pay car payments. Period. This is what the biggest contention of this whole council has been, is about these water and sewer buildings and facilities. I think, for the benefit of the citizens and for the benefit of council, and not to be an embarrassment to the whole country, that we need to come together. You need to sit down and you need to shake hands, apologize to one another, and come back in here and act like adults. We're all 60 plus, 50 plus, excuse me.
Watch it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So, I might be mistaken over there. But we need to step up to the plate and do what the citizens want you to do. Not what I want to do, but what you want to do, what you need to do. This gentleman over here, Mr. Ward, he's upset. He's upset at the mayor because the mayor did or didn't do what he thinks is necessary. That's great. I mean, that's what dialogue's about. We live in a representative democracy. That's the reason we're here. And that's the reason you were elected. That's the reason there's 6 of you. So, I thank you for listening. I'm sorry. I hope that we can go forward from here and reunite and do the people's business. Thank you.
Okay. Utilities clerk, Misty Vance.
Well, I just have one figure to share with everybody. We have in about 680 payments for the month, and it's a total just a little over 100,000. And working on collections, we'll have to hit the collections a little bit harder. When we're talking that amount of money, it's harder to, once you get behind, it's harder for people to get caught up. So, just have to do the best we can, and there will be some customer service shut off this week if payments aren't made.
Okay.
How many
I
delinquent?
try my hardest to get a hold of them, Mr. Mayor, before that happens. I don't think there's anybody that I haven't called or even went to their home. I try to get payment or agreement before that's done.
Can you say, just guess on how many delinquents?
I don't want to take a guess. I really don't.
A lot.
I can't say a lot, because a lot might be 40 to you, a lot's 3 to me. So I can get those exact figures. I just don't want to take a guess. I haven't had time to look at them today. I'm trying to process the bills, and then I went to print them, and my computer's totally froze. So I don't know what's still there, what's not, but I don't want to take a guess.
Didn't it do that last month? Didn't it freeze up last month?
I think it was a month before last. It got froze up, and I had to call the company, and they got everything back. I didn't turn it off, I didn't touch it, and after 13 minutes to be exact, that's when I put the call into them.
Is that the program in there that freezes up like that? Yeah. Our program? Boy, we need to update. Yeah. Oh, well. One of these days, hopefully. Okay, is that it, honey? Do you need to be excused?
If I may, that would be great.
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
I know you were doing something with bills. Fiscal officer, village administration, clerk of council.
Okay, so I have a few updates in regards to the village. I have a few people that have reached out to me, and I know this might seem like a silly question or a comment, but they wanted me to make it clear to everybody in the community that if you see dumpsters on people's private properties, please do not throw your trash into it. These people do have dumpsters for a reason. They are getting filled up, and if you could please not put your trash in other people's dumpsters. So you can either call Rumpke to set up a billing service for them to pick up your trash, or you can take it to someplace else, but do not put it into other people's dumpsters. On the finance source here, the council will be reviewing and approving a new forecast for the physical emergency. So as you guys all know, back in February of 18, you guys approved a forecast for the general fund. We will also be doing that as well. You will see some additional monies in there. I will tell you guys up front. So there will be some additional line items that haven't been placed on there before, and that will be announced on February the 5th. There will be a financial commission meeting, which is held bi-monthly on February the 5th at 10 a.m. and it's open to the public here at Town Hall. Your financial commission will be attending, and there will be some announcements made then. Council will also be clearing comments on the reports of accounting methods. And I know I talked about this before. Those that have joined the committee meetings, there is a record of reporting on account methods that will have to be cleared. And like I also explained in the last council meeting, there are responsibilities of council, myself, the mayor, and the water department that will have to be cleared before we can be removed out of physical emergency. So be looking for having a scheduled meeting to get those comments cleared. Now that means creating policies, rewriting policies. There is a lot to do on that, so it's not going to be an easy task. Perry and Associates, the company that is doing our audit for 2016 and 17, had just sent me an extension. It will not be done for January, so that's been extended out for another month. Madison County is interested in looking at our camera trailer, and that was something that I wanted to bring it to your guys' attention. If you would want to sell that item, they would like to come down and look at that over and possibly put a value on that.
So you all know what that is, right?
What was it?
When he says camera trailer.
Yeah.
Camera trailer.
Got it.
Okay, you know what that is.
I know what that is, but what did we use it for?
So if there's a clog in like a sewer main, they would put a little robot car somewhat, and you could see it from a screen, and you would put it through those lines to see where the clog's at.
And that's not something we're going to need.
I know we've used it.
We have used it, but the occasion, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of high-priced equipment sitting down there that we may use once in a couple years, once a year, once every 2 years. So London can buy it. They'll use it probably a lot more than we will, and then when we need it, we'll borrow it off of them, like they borrow our stuff. So I think, it's a good idea to think about cutting it loose and letting them,
But we
they
can
need
talk
it.
about that when it gets
Yeah.
to that point. And I want to thank the employees that came in and did the snow removal for the last couple weekends. They did not take overtime. So what that means is that they did not get paid time and a half, which I think we should applaud that, because that would have been a lot of money that the village would have had to pay out. And they've all agreed to take comp time. So that is a big cost savings to the village for not having to pay people. We had certain members that were 15 hours of overtime. That would have cost a lot with their salary at time and a half. So I want to make council aware of that. And also the finance people that are approving those timesheets. Also, with that said, you guys made a motion to accept Tyler at a 1099. So what that means is that we really have only 2 people to operate the village. Now, are we all fully aware of that? Because when you are 1099, he is only solely to operate and maintain the water facility. He cannot be called out to do snow removal. He cannot be called out to do water main repairs. He cannot be called out to read meters. He cannot be called out to do any other duties besides to maintain and to sign off on the water plan. So I want to tell the public that with that motion that was passed, that we only really have 2 employees now, when we used to have 6 to 7 in the past. So please bear with us with some of those requests. I know there's a lot coming in with nuisance and abatement requests that I've been getting. So if you can please bear with us, that there may be some delays, because there is an employee that was hired in October that doesn't have the experience of what the other 2 that we've had. So there is going to be a training process. There has to be a learning process, and we can't move as fast with only 2. So we need to be very, I ask the residents to be very mindful of that, because it will put, especially a new employee, learning, it'll be probably trying it sometimes. So I just want to make that statement as well. Okay, so on to my financial reports. If you guys can pull out the revenue status. And again, these reports are going to be generated as of, because the last council meeting, those were to match your monthly December bank rec. Okay, those numbers would be matching those reports, okay? So these reports will be from the time I pulled them from January 14th until the present time, which would have been on Friday, okay? So the revenue status, and again, this is for 19, so that's why you'll see a lot of low percentages on there than what we're used to seeing. So, of course, you'll see general fund as at 8.972%. Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
You'll have the street construction, and again, these are really low numbers, so there's nothing to be much concerned about, again, this was only one full cycling of the bills, one full, not even a full month of cycling for the revenues. So all these numbers are definitely low. But as you can see, what we approved for the revenues for this coming year, there will be, I think we're going to be looking good and hoping that we'll be above budget. But I apologize, these reports are very low and there's not much data to kind of look historically at. Okay, so the appropriation status. So the appropriation status, as you can tell, for the general fund is only expended 1.72%. So again, be very mindful of this as well. We only did one cycling of the checks. But I am happy to say that the employees did take the comp time, so that really would have killed the street fund, and I use the term loosely. It really would have damaged the street fund if they were to have taken the time and a half. Because as we know, in finance, members, present and past, we all know that whatever job they do that position out of, when they do snow removal, it has to come out of that fund. So they would have all came out of the street fund, which only gets 60%, and that's, or 60,000 a year, and that's the entire year. So if there's anything that breaks down, that's part of that encumbrance money. So the general fund is looking good, but again, you guys will have a copy of the new forecast, and that will also have to be passed with you guys on 3 readings. And that's something that we did back in February. And I know we just approved the budget, but this will be strictly just for the general fund. So just looking at the street, kind of like where I talked about, that was only 1.72%. Any questions on that? Water's looking good, but again, we only had one cycling of the checks. As we start to get halfway through the month, or halfway through the year, we'll start to see those. And your cash summary by fund. Again, this was ran from January 14th through the end of this month. Obviously, we haven't reached the 31st yet. We are looking very good. The general fund isn't a positive, so we do not have any funds in the negative. Everybody should be very proud of this, and I say this all the time. We've really worked hard, especially with the finance.
We're in the positive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good vibes.
That's very good.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so the receipt listing, as you can see, there is Village of Mount Sterling water payments. That's your sewer and water payments. Those are the payments that come through, obviously, for the payments for the water and sewer. And also at Swaco, I was looking back through because I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to that. If they've overcharged us or if they've charged us for tax, because we are a tax-free entity. So I like to review all of the invoices, and I did find that there was a mistake on the Swaco that they just sent us recently. So Swaco is where we haul our sludge back and forth to the Swaco up there off of 71, and they tried to invoice us for a certain amount, and I caught it, so that's why you see it as a separate item there. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, so for the payment listings, again, you'll see all the normals. Again, we are operating through super blankets and regular blankets, which is really great. I think a lot of you guys as council members will appreciate that. You'll see a Mallows on here. Those are for the guys' uniform allowance. WD Farms, you'll see that was the hauling of the sludge for December, because we only had one time we met in December the 10th. So all these these checks here would have been approved last council meeting. I also have good news for the Crawford Ditch project, and this is for, I think, a lot of the council members that were on finance last year would applaud. We appropriated $13,500. I got it down to about $9,000.
Congratulations.
So we kind of negotiated on that, so I think we should all be proud of that as well. That's a good savings. Okay, so the comparison of budget and appropriated. As you can tell, this is what was budgeted. Of course, it has not, all of it has not been appropriated, but it's just a good report to kind of look at. Okay, and the reader report. If you guys will take a gander at that. And if you go to page 4, it was reconciled at 10,000. We normally, at the second time of the month, because we get paid twice, at the first, I say we, but the village gets, you know, income tax on the 1st and on the 14th of each month. This one obviously has gone higher than what is usually appropriated. It's usually about $3,000 is how much you get. We've gotten about $10,400. So that's good. The delinquency program, I do have, again, I want to make it official that anybody in the community, any of the residents that have questions on Rita, please feel free to contact me. I know I've gotten a lot recently, but I'll be able to help you with that and calling Rita with you. I know a lot of people can't get through, or they have daytime jobs and can't get a break. Just give me a call, okay? And I think that's all for mine. I think that's it. Yep, I think that's it. Jack? Jack.
Finance.
Well, that is finance, so I guess I give you a motion to pay or accept all these reports.
Okay.
I'll second it.
We can do all those.
Yes. As long as nobody wants to amend it.
Right, right.
Yes.
We already
Sure,
took care of that.
they're all on the form there.
Form, yes.
Well, the forms did not happen today.
Okay.
My system was crashed on that, and I did not have time to do that. But I can read them all out if you guys would like. That you would be making a motion to accept the reader report, the comparison of budget and appropriated, the payment listing, the receipt listing, cash summary by fund, appropriation status, and revenue status.
Everybody good with that?
And Lowell made the motion, right?
Lowell made the motion.
Okay.
Second?
I'll say.
Vote?
Tom?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Lowell?
Yes.
And Rebecca?
Yes.
That leads us into reports. Finance.
That is finance.
Okay.
Have anything to add to that?
Pleasant Township. Who's got Pleasant Township?
I did, but there's no report. I wasn't able to make it.
Squad. Who's got squad?
That's me, but no, nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Fire. This is good. We're going right. Fire. Who's on fire?
I'm no report.
We're on fire now. Water and wastewater.
That'd be me. We did have a meeting on January the 22nd, and basically we are going to add something to the water bill on the state, on just, where we can put notes. There's just going to be a little note memo on there.
Yeah, be careful the way you say that. We're not adding anything to the water bill.
No, we're adding a note
Okay.
explaining the increase. It's not explaining. It will reference the ordinance number and the amount that has been added to everyone's water bill. So the amount will be there, which is the $50.30. That's the grand total amount. And then the ordinance, both ordinance numbers, and then you can look up those ordinances or call in and ask to get more details on that. But we've had requests from the community to know exactly how much it went up, or did it double, did it this, did it that. So we're going to put that memo on there and let that ride on there for a while, and hopefully that will at least answer a little bit of those questions. And of course, Misty is awesome if you need to call in and ask further questions. And the wastewater meetings will be held the 4th Tuesday of every month from now on at 2:15. So the next meeting will be February the 26th.
Okay, very good. Streets?
I just want to thank our street workers for what they did, and I'm planning on having a meeting sometime in March, since about when the pothole season starts
Very
again.
good. Yeah, we need to have a meeting. We need to talk.
Yep, we'll talk about it in March.
All right, we'll talk about it in March. Parks and Rec. Who is that?
That's me.
Oh.
We did have a meeting again on January the 22nd, the same day at 3:30, and those meetings will be the fourth Tuesday of every month at 3:30. So the next one will be February the 26th as well. We met with our 3 committee members, and we also had our Park and Rec director, Jack, was there. We talked about a lot of ideas we're going to do this year, and we are super excited to get some of those projects underway. One thing I did want to say, Mr. Did you call him Bob Fish?
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned how the Nazarene Church last year helped with, or they did, the community cleanup. Some people helped them, but they, in essence, were in charge of that whole thing. Who's the group I'm trying to think of? The Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
The Chamber of Commerce and Park and Recs and the Nazarene Church have all agreed to do a community cleanup project again this spring. We're hoping to get more entities to come on board. We're hoping maybe the guys, the township trustees might come on board. Maybe some other churches will come on board and organizations. But tentatively, that date is May the 4th. And we're hoping, again, it can be a big community project, and we can make a lot of good things happen. So, yep, pretty excited about Park and Recs and everything they have planned. So, look for a lot of good things in the future.
Very good.
Could I please add something on there?
Yes.
The school Madison Plains has reached out to me. They would like to come on April the 26th
I meant
to do their cleanup.
Yeah, I was going to.
That works good for them because they do have some those testings. I know they do have testings in April.
They're going to be here before we have ours.
Yeah, April the 26th. But we can talk about that on the next meeting.
Right. That's on a Friday then.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought with just the school, we'd have them to do our local stuff here. And then in May, we'd do the whole community. Because the high school kids.
They won't have any transportation, so they won't be able to carry anything or drive.
Okay. Record of retention.
No report.
No report. Good, moving along. We got no nuisance and abatement, and we're going to talk about block watch later.
We'll handle that later.
Now, mayor's report. It's not on there, but I'm going to give one anyhow. Several months ago, I was approached by the state auditor, and they told me that I needed to get a village administrator. And I said, well, I think we got it. Well, yeah, you got it now, but you need a village administrator. So as you all know, she's taken over probably 75% of village administrator's duties, and I help her a little bit. But now, with all the work that's going on, issues, I was called into a meeting last week, and I was told that I was going to get a village administrator.
Correct.
That was not a request anymore. It was a statement. You will get a village administrator. And, of course, I said, yes, of course, whatever you want. So we will, I want you all to know that we will be looking for a village administrator. The duties and all that's already, you can get a copy of that from past village administrators. But it's something we got to do.
And that's something that you guys will see in your forecast.
Yes.
in the general fund, because they will be taken out of the general fund.
So that's all I got to say about that. I just want to put it out there that yes, there will be people apply for it, I'm sure. But
I think they can just bring opportunity where I know I've lacked or haven't had time to do. I think the focus really needs to be on those facilities.
yeah,
I think it would be great. I think it's going to be great for people to have a point of contact, that they know who they can reach out to.
and I have went as far as to invite someone to come in and sit in the water department. I'm telling you all now, I need a 1099 that will come in when Misty is off sick or she's on vacation. I have to have someone at that window. Now, what we've done for the last year is she runs down the hall when the bell rings, or I sit in there. But my knowledge is very limited, so Tyler came in and did debit cards. But I have to have someone at that window 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I have to. And we simply, I'm down at the garage a lot, and she's back here and she's tied up with auditors. And there's going to be days that people get sick, and there's going to be days that she wants to take a vacation or whatever. But I cannot have anybody off that window. I can answer her phone and say I'll get back with you, but I'm gonna ask you to consider a lady from here in town, retired. The reason I picked her is because she said, "Give me 1 hour's notice, and I'll come in. I'll try to learn it. I'll see if I want it. I'll see if you want me, and if it works out, you hire me under a 1099. So she's been here 2 or 3 times learning it, and no, she's not handling money. That will come with a bond, but I just wanted to put a bug in your ear. You're all aware of the bad publicity we get, that when someone's on the phone, or they're not answering the phone, or they're not there, when they walk in there, they want to see a smiling face at that window. So that's why I asked this lady to come on board. So I just wanted to, that's what, I'm telling you, that's what I need. And you guys will hopefully make that happen, like Tyler, 1099. So that's all I got as far as my committee meeting. Any questions?
I have a comment, because council is the legislative authority that hires and fires employees. If I can just make a recommendation of the village administrator, the duty, or maybe what they have or they shouldn't have or should have, is operating license. I think that would be a great asset to the village, that if they do have a water or a sewer license, that they could be the backup. So be looking forward to, again, that's going to be announced on February the 5th during this commission committee. And I strongly suggest that, that somebody is qualified as far as the license for the facilities, that they can be the backup.
I agree, Courtney. We need to have somebody in place just in case of that.
Why we're doing that.
Yeah.
We're hiring Tyler back at 23, and we already hire Brian at
22 or 29, sorry.
29. So when we look for a village administrator, if he's got water and wastewater license, that's a big plus for us. That's going to save us money. So that's why that comment was made. That leads us into ordinances and resolutions. Everybody's wanting to get out of here. Ordinance 2019-3. This is an ordinance naming the alley between Memorial Park and 17 East Main as Timmons Way. Timmons Way. On a second reading, I need a motion for that.
I'll give you the
please.
motion.
Thank you. Second.
Got it?
Thank you. Vote?
Tom?
Yes.
Tammy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Lowell?
Yes.
And Rebecca?
Yes.
Thank you all very much. Round table.
Tonight, Mayor, I want to thank my brother and my nephew RJ for coming there. I appreciate them. I think they want to make sure I'm doing a good job, I think. Yeah. But,
Well, they just could have called me. They didn't have to.
but also, with, when Becky mentioned about in the church, we set a record last spring, 86 couches. And I mean, we had enough couches for the
cleanup?
Yeah, on cleanup. Yeah, Pastor Joe said we could start our own couch factory, but we got it done.
You don't know how many front porches you cleaned
Exactly.
off.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I'm just, if people can hear.
Round table?
Just to hit on the administrator and the
Yeah.
sub, whatever you want to call it.
Go ahead, honey.
We just gotta remember the strength chart. You know, we'll have to add the administrator back to the strength chart. We gotta keep that in mind, yeah.
Yeah.
It's still in there.
Yeah.
And to hit on some of what Mr. Pitstick said, I want all of council, all of residents, the mayor, Mr. Pitstick, Courtney, everybody to know, come to me, ask, I'll tell you.
Pardon?
Come to me, I'll ask. You ask me, I'll tell you. When you said, you know,
There you go.
if they want to know something, all they got to do is ask.
That's all you gotta do. Tommy?
No, other than I want the people to know, especially the pastor's still here, that I did not mean to offend anybody when it came to that prayer service. I just merely had a concern about the law between separation in church and state, and that is all. And so that was reasoning for that. It's quite the opposite. I am a very, very religious man, and it tore my heart out of me to have to take that stance. But there's laws, and I just wanted to make sure the law was followed. Even Mr. Pitstick, after we talked a little bit, I don't believe you could even for sure tell me on that, could you, Mr. Pitstick? I know we discussed it, but I was not comfortable with the answer. I wanted to know for sure that it was legal. That's all that was. It's not to bash anybody. It's not to bash prayer. I just wanted to make sure it was legal. And, you know, I do not hate anybody here. I have disagreements, and we can have some strong disagreements here for sure. But this has been a very, very tough battle we have all had to fight. And this last year has been a uphill climb, to say the least. I'm still learning laws. I don't know it all. And if I have a question, I am not afraid to ask Mr. Pitstick, nor anybody else here. If I'm wrong, I will tell you, okay, thank you, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to harm nobody. I am trying to represent the village and do what's best for the village. Everybody's been put through enough, and we're all trying to go forward. We just got to learn how to go forward now. We've been fighting the battle so hard. So, and that's all. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody on the right?
Well, I have some comments. As far as the village administrator is concerned, I don't have a problem with that. However, the problem I have is that the state auditor is telling us what to do. Now, we can have a village administrator's position, but we do not have to fill it. Check your rules. And just because they think we ought to have one doesn't go with me.
Well,
I'm tired of this being told what to do. And it seems like the county auditor or state auditors come in and they grab just a little bit of this, a little bit of this. You can't have this, and it needs to stop. And I will fight them.
But I don't think that's what it is. They're making a recommendation. Because
Right.
Is it fair? Is it in my ORC duty to do that?
That should be up to this council to
But is it?
decide.
I mean, it's not. And I feel that the only people that are suffering is to the residents that I can't get to. The only people that are suffering is to these operations that I know nothing about. I
Yes,
have no
but
experience in it whatsoever.
Did the
We
village?
need to have a village
Yes, I
administrator
agree.
that has experience and to operate these facilities for these people of this community.
I agree.
They learn how to save money. They learn how to operate this.
But we had a village administrator and the people suffered, didn't they? So that's a good point.
Yes.
All right.
But that's why I made it. That's why I reiterated it, that there should be somebody that's highly qualified.
Well, that's probably true. We think we have them highly qualified and decide that they're not. Tom, in my opinion, if you want to walk out of this place anytime you want to, that is your right. I have nothing to say against that. If you check with the Senate of Ohio, the House of Representatives, the House of Representatives on the national level, and the Senate, you will find, if you follow them at all, there have been occasions when the members have walked out. That's their right. And as far as what you want to do with it, that's you. You should not be chastised for that, because that's not right. But the person doing it has a right to say that, but in my opinion, it's your call. I will defend your call.
I appreciate that, Lo, I truly do. And I can understand that there's going to be residents who are going to be upset. And it's very important for them to understand that my concern is strictly on the law side. I support the prayer. I would love to have the prayer services in here. But I just want to know that it's done legally. I know laws change so much. At one time, you could not have prayer. Now they're saying you can have prayer. So I'm up in the air. And I'm up in the air. I know Mr. Pitstick and I talked, and I listened very hard to what the man said. But he could not thoroughly say blah blah blah. And so I want to take my time and do some research. And if I need to contact Lord knows who, and they say yes, it is legal. You might have to do this, or you may have to do that, in order to have a legal prayer. That's all I'm looking at.
I think you're okay.
So
When I was asked if can I come in and do a prayer before the council meeting, I said, I don't know. I thought the same thing you thought, because the separation of church and state and that sort of thing. I get on the telephone. I call my village solicitor. He said, you're fine. I called the guy back and I said, you're praying. It's, I've got it from the legal team. It's okay. That was not me that said that. I got legal advice. And that's when I came and asked you all. And you all smiled and said, sure, go ahead and pray. So
I just want to weigh in briefly on this too. I don't have a problem with if we decide to put prayer in our agenda, it's perfectly fine with me. And if Tom or anyone else chooses to step out of the room, I don't have a problem. I don't chastise him for that. I do not think it's appropriate for a council member, and I believe it's in the rules of council to walk out of a council meeting. I do believe there should be some repercussions on that, because it specifically states you cannot walk out of an active council meeting. So that's my opinion on that, and I completely agree with the resident when he said, the Nazarene Church in general has done a lot for our community, Pastor Proudfoot, and his face turned bright red when we were going through all that voting, whether we could vote him in, let him pray or not. It was embarrassing, and I want to urge council again, if you have any questions in the future, you should follow rules of council and talk to the mayor and or the village administrator when we have one prior. You have 3 days notice to talk to someone. That's all I have to say about that.
thank you. Mrs. Burns, comments?
Either a whole lot or probably I'd be better off saying nothing at all. But I will say just a couple things. And for any residents listening, there are still answers that we are trying to get. Unlike what Mr. Pitstick said, we're not trying to totally overturn the loans or anything like that. We're trying to see if there's any remedy to the restructuring to reduce that $50 a month for the water loans. It goes back to 2012. That's where everything started. The design for the water plant, this huge water plant, actually started in 2012. Mr. Pistic said that it was unreasonable to think that in 2016 that there would not be a rate increase. But in 2013, 14, and 15, if Mr. Timmons and Mr. Anderson recall, when we did do water rate increases, we were told it was to pay for the new water plant.
Right.
There was absolutely no discussion in 16 about raising the water rates to pay for the water plant. There were 3 water rate increases the village had to endure back then, and so there was definitely misleading information that was out there. As far as I've been questioned about this several times about the Hinkle meeting. For those of you who either watched it or were in attendance, Mr. Cisco stood up when we had the visitor comments after roundtable. He stood up in his loud voice and announced to every single person here that he was organizing the meeting, and if anybody, with Mr. Hinkle, and that is because it was Mr. Cisco that came up with a lot of questions going through these OWDA loans that, once again, over $1 million started in 2012 that's included in on this big loan. Those are some of the things that we did not even realize and still looking through these loans. The design and the wellfield loan started in 12. But he came up with different questions. Mrs. Van Sickle and myself told him after the meeting, hey, we're interested. We'd like to see what the auditors have to say, just trying to learn more information. Every council member up here had that same opportunity. And it was also then announced after one of the Financial Commission meetings, even though not all council members were there. So I put the responsibility, it was publicly announced. So anybody had that opportunity. There was nothing hidden or anything about that. And it was questions that Mr. Cisco had come up with, and I'm always curious to see. There's still some other questions that I still am hoping to find out answers to, that only because I think the residents deserve somebody that's, even if people say, oh, let it go, and I'm not against council whatsoever, but I am for the residents, I am for the businesses, and if I feel there's anything that might give us a little bit of a, maybe to help restructure, I'm still, until I have the last question answered, I'm going to continue to look into that. And like what Mrs. Van Sickle said, any questions, I'm putting everything out on black and white. It's all on paper, whether it's old ordinances, whether it is old minutes from council meetings where people spoke, etc. It's all in black and white that we want to start presenting to people so you can draw your own opinion and to see, we just want answers. And until I get those answers, that's the only reason that I keep pursuing this. So I just wanted to clarify a couple things that our solicitor said. It's not, and it's just a passion of mine to do this to try to help the residents. And that's all.
Well, I can't speak for the solicitor, but I think the solicitor was talking about these meetings that you were going to go have should have been spoken to council before the meetings ever occurred.
With Hinkle? He mentioned the Hinkle meeting.
County commissioners, you represented us at the county level, I'm assuming.
I was invited by Mr. Prone when I went to a meeting that Mr. Cisco had, because Mr. Prone is Mr. Cisco's solicitor for the library. Right. He had put together a couple questions about some specifics involving the land purchase that the village had.
Right.
And because that was loan information he knew I was looking into, casually asked if I'd want to go. And I was interested once again, and as part of that meeting, it was just a few questions on that meeting. Mr. Prone invited me to go to the commissioners' meeting and set it up. When I called to confirm, he said, oh, Mr. Prone's already done that for you. So that was nothing I formally arranged.
Well, as I recall, Mr. Cisco said that you had been showing him some contracts and ordinances and resolutions, and he asked some questions, and he asked me if I wanted to participate.
No, actually, I gave him copies of the loans that I had received. So he had his own set of copies that he worked out of. I didn't.
Which got his curiosity up.
Well, he was asking. He asked if he could have copies because he was curious.
Did he go to the Madison County? I guess what I'm saying is, before each of these meetings, was there anything said other than you and Tammy and Mr. Cisco to the regular council members? We're going to the
Actually, I
county
went to
level?
you.
It was to you.
I actually went to you
It was to
first
you.
twice.
You did. You asked me. You showed them to me, the whole stack.
On
Yes,
two
I
different
talked to you and you
occasions,
said,
and
"I
each
don't wanna
time you
hear
said,
about it."
I don't want to know anything, I don't want to hear anything about these.
Right. Because why?
You never, I don't know.
The auditor was here.
No, that's the Hinkle meeting. You
No.
didn't say anything about it when you were, well, I tried to show you behind the dairy freeze one day.
I know. I talked to the auditor, and I said, they've got these, and I talked to him. I said, they've got all these contracts and ordinances. I don't have a clue what this stuff's about. You knew because you signed them, some of them. You knew what some of them
The
were.
12, 13,
Well, I'm just.
Here
I'm
we
just
go again,
saying-
folks.
No,
Sorry.
I'm just saying. You knew what
I
you were
know,
talking
can you,
about.
but see, this is, you talk about this argumentative stuff. This is
No,
what's causing the
I'm
division,
not.
folks. I have no clue why he does not want me. I know, it's ridiculous.
No,
It's
just
so
saying
ridiculous.
that you did bring it up to me, and I did tell you I don't want anything to do with this.
That's right.
I'm not on this paper trail. I'm not on this. I have enough stuff going on at town hall.
But you are the mayor. You tell council to come to you.
No.
But we
Okay.
came to you. I don't want to hear about it. You
No.
didn't even listen to what we was going to say.
You
I
two
think that
come to
this
me
is-
and ask
we've
me
been
if
through
I
this
wanted to
before.
participate in this. The
I
other
think-
four didn't have anything to do with it. And I said, no. I don't want on this wild goose chase. I've been talking to the auditor. The auditor said this has been taken care of. And then, when it came to Mr. Hinkle, the Attorney General, the lawyer for the Attorney General that was here, I asked
I know
him.
I know that about the Hinkle thing. But we're discussing very first when we got
But
this.
did you
slammed
invite,
out.
did you invite the other four to the Hinkle meeting, or?
Chris Cisco stood here and invited all council and everybody up here.
You didn't give a date. There was
It's on video.
a date of when the meeting and
He
the
just set it
time?
up. We approached him after the meeting, said we was interested.
I mean,
Everybody
Well, that's
invited.
what, Mr. Pitstick, I'm sure that's what he was referring to. Now, he can speak for himself, but I knew that some of council didn't know anything that was going on,
Questions here and there.
Well, like
and
Tammy
I
said-
didn't want to be any part of it.
Anytime the answers have been there, we've always been willing to
Okay,
answer, and same thing with
All
the
right.
public.
so you say they have, and so they have. So in the future, when we venture off on these field trips, make sure the council is well aware of your trips. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous.
And if I venture off on a trip, trust me, I'll inform you all.
No.
So, anybody else?
See, this is why I get upset. Okay, is we sit here, we try to do our due diligence. You have no idea, or you do have an idea. Yes, you do have an idea. But we have went through document, and I mean me learning, trying to read and everything else. She's got her thing she's doing, her thing that she's doing. That's not counting all the stuff that's being done on these committees and everything else. And then come in here and we're trying to deal with this, and then you get up there. You know, I was here that day and I heard the conversation that took place. Yes, he stood there. Everybody was invited. Everybody knows about it. And all of a sudden, I don't know why that's a sensitive subject. It's a very sensitive subject, and why, I don't know. What is wrong with going back, and if there's anything that can be found to try to help the residents and relieve their burden, is a wonderful thing, I would think, okay? But you come in and you're just like you're beating your head against a brick wall.
No.
I think perception is just a big part of it. It's the perception. I think one side thinks like we're not being informed of things, and I mean, you just sat here and you said me and Tammy and Rebecca are trying everything we can.
Oh, no, I corrected myself on that. So,
Well,
yeah, but
okay.
everybody here has something they have to do. You have your committee, he has his committee, she has her committee, his committee,
Right,
committees.
but we are
Some of our
all
committees overlap.
we are all trying to find some relief for the residents on this whole water plant fiasco. We are all trying to do that.
And when this all came up, Tommy, listen, Rebecca did tell me about it. And she told me about it 2 or 3 times. And Tammy was there, and I asked him about it. And then I talked to the auditors. The auditors were here all the time at that time.
Still are.
And they were bosses in the auditor's department. And I talked to them about what she had presented to me. And I told them as much as I knew.
You didn't. Yeah, I didn't show you anything. You didn't want to see it, so you really didn't know anything.
As much as you told me. I told them as much as she told me. I said, I do not have a clue about this stuff. I wasn't around. They said, look, they're not going to do anything that we haven't already done. So just stay out of it. Stay out of it. That's your answer, that you're not participating in it. Now, the auditor's office told me that. So when Rebecca asked me again, I said, look, Rebecca, I don't want to be any part of this. Didn't I say that, Rebecca?
Yes.
I don't want to be any part of this. And they kept going and going, and I heard that they were going, which is fine with me. I didn't have a problem. If they want to venture off to the land of Oz, I don't have a problem with it. But when they come and ask me to attend a meeting, I don't know who Mr. Hinkle is. There was an attorney from the Attorney General's office. I said, wait just a minute, Chris, let me ask this guy. So I asked this attorney. I said, look, this is over the contracts and stuff, and April Davis jumped in the conversation and said, I can tell you what it's about. And I said, what am I tell Chris Crisco about going meeting Mr. Hinkle? He said, you're not meeting anybody. You meet with me. You meet with the auditor. You're not meeting with anybody. And I said, okay, that's what I'm going to tell him. And Chris came in there, and I said, Chris, this is the attorney. He told me not to meet with anybody. So I'm not going anywhere. And that's how that came about.
Well, I will say that I'm going to keep looking. I want the residents to know.
That's fine, Tammy. I don't have a problem with that.
If anybody has a question, by all means, ask for my phone number, email, council members or residents.
Mine too.
We will get together.
But just keep us informed. Anybody else? We're adjourned. I can turn my phone on now.
My leg just gave out on me.
The black-haired girl.
My back is killing me.
My leg just went out.
We didn't get a shot in my back. Like we didn't get a shot in my back. Moment.
Hang on.
You take care of it.
Thank you.
The microphones are all strong.
Stand up there. I hope we're doing your call.
Hey, how are you today? You ready for this polar vortex I hear about? It's supposed to hit Wednesday, like the coldest